When somebody asks me to build them a custom banjo, one of the things we always end up talking about is what kind of head to put on the banjo. A lot of people are really drawn towards the look of a goatskin head. They have a lot of personality, a lot of character. And I think they have a great sound to them. I love the texture and complexity they add to notes. I think it really lends itself well to old-time music. One of the things I really love about a goatskin head on a banjo is just the endless variety. You can go something a little bit sort of rugged looking with some stain to it. Looks good and old, or you can get a little bit crazy with some patterns or different colors to it. You can also maybe go a little bit calmer, like on this little cherry banjo here, a little bit more subdued pattern, but still looks like a natural skin for sure. And every one of them is going to sound different. Different heads on the same banjo will sound a little bit different. So not only do they look unique, they're going to sound unique too. Before synthetic banjo heads came along in the 1950s, natural skin heads were just what banjos had on them. It might have been a calf skin or a goat skin or a raccoon skin or a cat skin. A lot of animals contributed to the cause for sure. But that doesn't mean synthetic banjo heads are bad. They have their own strengths, a lot of strength, and that's why they're so popular. But I think there's something about a natural skin head that's really well connected to the old-time banjo sound and tradition. Now, one of the things I really love about building and playing old-time banjos is just the endless variety in the decisions that can go into the design process. You know, you can have a larger rim or a smaller rim. You can have different type of tone rings underneath the head, different types of wood that the instrument's built with. You can have different scale lengths. You can design the instrument so that the bridge sits a little closer towards the center of the head or back towards the tailpiece. And you can choose what type of head goes on the banjo. And I think that decision of what type of head goes on the banjo is one of the more significant things you can, significant decisions to be made that's going to affect the overall tone of the instrument. You can go with a synthetic head like this Renaissance banjo head here. In my ear, the notes, when a banjo has this on it, the notes are sort of a little bit more defined. They sort of jump off the banjo and come at you a little bit quicker, maybe a little bit brighter, a little bit more definition to the note. Another option for a synthetic banjo head is a fiber skin head like this. Has some texture in the head that gives it a little bit more of a natural look to it. Or you can stain those and get a little bit of a darker shade to them. But with a fiber skin head, in my ear, they lean more towards the sound of a natural skin head, a little bit more thunk, a little bit more plunk to them. I don't hear quite as much definition in the note as I do with a natural skin head, but these are a great option too. Or with a natural skin head like this, it's already been mounted. I feel like with a natural skin head, the note sort of crawls off the banjo, if you will, and sort of stays around you a little bit, and you get to enjoy the note more. And it's got some breathiness to it and some complexity to the note that I really enjoy hearing. Just gives a new flavor and dimension to the sound that you hear. Now, a lot of this really comes down to the overall personality of the instrument. People notice when a banjo feels alive and interesting and makes them want to stop and pick it up and play it every time they walk by it. And that's a big part of why I encourage people towards a natural skin head or a goat skin head on their banjo, because that sound, the complexity and the interesting aspects of that sound and the personality it brings to your instrument just makes you want to stop and play it more, I think. One of my favorite parts about when somebody comes to the workshop to spec out a banjo they've ordered is to pick out the type of head we're going to put on it. I usually keep 3 or 4 dozen heads on hand, and people look through and pick one that sort of thinks either going to match their banjo or maybe something's going to match their personality. It's a real fun part of the process, but there's just so much variety you can have in a natural skin head, and you can find something that just really it's going to be uniquely you, and I think that's an exciting part of it too. Now, one conversation that always comes up has to do with how hard are these heads to take care of, how durable are they? People have heard stories of them splitting or how they might get changed with the weather, things like that. And I think they don't deserve the reputation that I think they get in some circles. They do change with the weather. Humidity and seasons and temperature can change how tight the head is. As the head loosens up, the tone will change some. As the head tightens up, the tone will change a little bit more, become a little bit brighter. But That's one thing that's so interesting about having a natural skin on the banjo, having a goat skin on the banjo, is the instrument's going to sound a little bit different with seasons and with different days. And I find that exciting. The instrument's not going to sound the same every time you pick it up to play it. Some days you can go, wow, and some days you can go, oh. But I think it gives the instrument a personality. You know, they respond to weather like we do. Some days we'll look outside and go, yeah, I'm not so sure about today. And some days this is beautiful. And I think that's part of what you get with a natural skin head. You have beautiful days, and it's worth some of the days where you have to get out the umbrella. Most of the time you just enjoy the banjo and don't think so much about it. Now, the main thing that can happen is this head can loosen over time or with seasons. And when that happens, the banjo can start to sound a little bit muddy or a little bit warbly kind of sound to it. And what you need to do then is you just take a small wrench and you go around and you tighten up each of these tension nuts around the perimeter of the rim. Tighten them all. I usually tighten them all about like 1/8 of a turn or 1/4 of a turn to bring the snap back to the banjo. Some people like the banjo to sound a little bit softer and a little bit muddier sound to it, a little bit dark sounding. Or you can tighten it up and get a little bit more bright out of the banjo. Here in Tennessee, I've never seen them get too tight with the weather, but I have seen them get too loose. And a lot of people are scared to go around and tighten their banjo head up. They're a lot more durable than you think, a goatskin head. So I've seen people just let them get loose and not tighten them up because they're scared they're going to hurt the head, but they're a lot more durable than you think. There are some tools that can help you measure how tight the head is, which are good. The main thing is, does it sound right in your ear? And just, you know, give your banjo a good listen. And if it sounds a little bit muddy, you know, snug it up a little bit and don't be scared of it. Now, there are definitely situations when I recommend somebody put a synthetic head on their banjo. If you're going to be touring a lot with it, if you're going to be playing lots of shows in unpredictable environments, if you're going to be taking your banjo camping, or if you just don't want to worry about maintenance of it at all, a synthetic head is a great way to go. If I'm going to be playing an outdoor concert and I check the weather and it's going to be damp or wet that evening, I will take about 15 minutes and change my head over to a fiber skin head and play the show and not worry about head tension at all for that evening. But the next day, I'm always pretty eager to get the goat skin back on there. Now, one thing I always tell folks is that this isn't a decision you're locked into forever. If at some point you decide you'd rather have a synthetic head on your banjo, it's not that hard to do. It's not that expensive to do. Lots of places you can order one from. Take about 20 or 30 minutes and you can swap out the head on your banjo. So it's completely reversible. If somebody's on the fence about whether to get a goat skin on their banjo or not, though, I'll encourage them to give it a try. I think the personality, both in looks and the personality and tone that you get from it, just can't be beat. There's just something I love about a goat skin head on an old-time banjo.